thank you so much for joining us for today's community conversation. I'm Dr. Liddell Lewis, and I have with me today Crime Stoppers. And we have our executive director as well as our board president. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So, ma'am, who are you?
Hello, I'm Julie Lopez. I'm the Executive Director for Crime Stoppers of Flint and Genesee County. I'm also the Regional Director for Crime Stoppers USA.
Hello, Julie.
Hello.
All right. And you, sir?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ruben Vasquez II, and I am the board president for the Flint Crime Stoppers program.
Okay. Well, very well. Well, we like to welcome you to the community conversation and thank you for joining into the conversation. So without further ado, we're going to get down to the meat of this thing. So tell us a little bit about Crime Stoppers. We'll start with you, Julie.
Sure. So Crime Stoppers is a nonprofit organization, and what we do is our mission is we work with law enforcement, the community, and the media to help solve and prevent crime. So we're an avenue for the community to get information to law enforcement anonymously. Anything that they've got, suspicious situations, or they know about a crime that happened, and they're afraid to talk to the police or don't want to talk to the police, or whatever reason, they need to remain anonymous. We have that avenue for them to do that.
All right, so you use the word anonymous. So what does anonymous mean?
Anonymous means we do not know who you are, and if you accidentally say in a tip, like, identify yourself in any way, like my brother-in-law did this, then we would make sure that we did not add that information before it goes to law enforcement. Because we want to keep you anonymous. It means we do not know who you are. Law enforcement will not know who you are when that tip gets to them, and then you can remain completely anonymous to help solve crime.
Very important, because a lot of people, we get confidential and anonymous mixed up.
Thank you.
And so we want to make sure that people know that Crime Stoppers is a safe place.
Yes. And we have methods in place. We've got a call center in Canada that we have the phone number that you call when you call Crime Stoppers. It gets scrambled up before it gets to the call center, so there's no caller ID. And at the call center, the calls are not recorded. There's no caller ID again. We do not track whether it's a male or female calling in. So it's completely anonymous.
Wow, you can't get any more anonymous than that.
Yep. And on our app and on our website, we do not track the IP addresses.
So you have an app as well as a website?
Yes, yes.
We'll definitely dig into that a little later.
Okay.
So what I would like to know is, what motivated you to get involved with Crime Stoppers?
Well, I spent 25 years in law enforcement, and during my time in law enforcement, I've used Crime Stoppers a number of times. And so just knowing the value of the program itself, I was born and raised here in Flint, Michigan. Even though I didn't police in the city of Flint, this is just a way that I wanted to give back and try to support a program that I think would help our communities here, help the folks out, and especially the police department. I know throughout the nation right now, agencies are struggling for manpower-wise, so anything we can do to make our community more safe, make the city more safe, that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to get back.
Okay. And I know, Julie, you have a unique story about what connected you with Crime Stoppers. So, can you please share how you became involved?
Yeah, actually, I don't even remember much about knowing about Crime Stoppers before we had this tragedy in our family. In 2011, we received a very difficult and devastating phone call that my father-in-law was shot in his home while he was sleeping and didn't make it. So I use those words because that's what I used when that happened. And then after a couple of days, I was so traumatized by it that I realized he was murdered. I know that sounds really weird to say, but I hadn't been around anything like that before. And but long story short, I started reading the Flint Journal every single day since then, and I saw all of these young people getting murdered, and I kept thinking about their mothers because I had teenagers at that time, and I just kept thinking how traumatized I was with my father-in-law being murdered, and then I thought of these moms, and I just needed to help somehow. So I started volunteering for Crime Stoppers, and then now I'm the director, and I really do it not only to help the police department because they are struggling and we need to reduce their investigation time, but honestly, in my heart is for the families of the victims because you feel helpless and hopeless. And if you can do anything, if you can hit share on Facebook, you feel like you're doing something. And that really, that motivates me.
Okay. So since you have been actively involved in Crime Stoppers, and I've been watching, I've seen a lot of great things come from Crime Stoppers. So give us some stats. So tell us about the good things that Crime Stoppers have done in the community.
Well, we're always trying to come up with new initiatives to get the word out. So we've done the Flint Neighborhoods Initiative. We were involved with you on that with Sarvis Park and some other areas where we would go door to door. We did the Felon in Possession of a Firearm Initiative, where we were really targeting the habitual violent offenders. So if you know of anybody who is a felon and is not supposed to have in possession of a firearm, you can report that and get an automatic $500 cash reward rather than the up to $1,000 for the different rewards.
So let me ask you, so is that upon their arrest, or is it I took their firearm and here it goes?
It's if the felon is arrested with the possession of a firearm.
okay.
Right. Although we did make an exception on one of them because we had the person got arrested but didn't have the firearm on them, but they had a warrant for something else.
Gotcha.
So the person was rewarded for that. So
All right.
yeah, and then we've got some amazing things that we were recognized for nationally and international. From Crime Stoppers International. We were recognized for our mobile ads through geofencing. And then this past year, we started a new initiative with some public service announcements through Over the Top TV, which is OTTC TV, where it's through geofencing. You drive by a billboard, and then when you go home, you see it on your streaming device. It's all connected through geofencing and through the mobile apps and things like that. It gets a little complicated, a little bit more over my head, but I know it works. I know people are seeing our commercials so that they can know that Crime Stoppers is there, and it's a great avenue to report crime anonymously.
Well, wow, with this technology.
Yes. We're using innovative methods to get the word out.
I mean, and that's amazing, because one thing we really focus on is putting aside antiquated things and moving forward, and so this is definitely the wave of the future. So when you say I have my phone in my car and I'm driving past that Crime Stopper billboard, because I see so many, in the community, so that's capturing my data. And so later on, it's going to air a commercial, Crime Stoppers commercial. Nice.
We'd like to thank Outfront for that, because they bring the idea, and then with our grant funding and then with our corporate sponsors, because we've got that, it all works really well together with all the partners that we have.
Right. And so I trust that, let's say, with Outfront, a lot of with your leadership and also with the board, how can individuals volunteer or join this board, because you're so progressive and innovative? So do you have any suggestions on how people that are listening may want to link up and partner with Crime Stoppers?
So, what's unique about our board is just how diverse it is. I mean, there's so many between the backgrounds and the level of experience that's brought to the table, from law enforcement to business to just community leaders in itself as well. So that's very unique, and it's just really, it just brings a lot of great ideas to the table. And for anyone else that wants to get involved, it's just a matter of reaching out to our program. And if they're showing interest, then of course, there's a process we have to go through and to ensure that person is the right person. They're, truly qualified. And but definitely reaching out to our program and just let us know, and we can kind of go from there.
Right, because clearly it seems like you have to be a forward thinker if you want to join this group. You guys are definitely on the move. So I would like to know this. So we spoke about those billboards. So how do you all select the cases, that you pursue, for one? And then how do you select the cases that are on those Outfront billboards?
So law enforcement asks us to highlight cases. That's how it usually happens. If they've got a case that they've run out of leads or, want it highlighted on Crime Stoppers. And then other ways that can happen is if a family member hasn't received, or if a family member wants their case on Crime Stoppers. So they've reached out to us on social media and asked, how come my child isn't on or whatever. You know, how can I get my child on Crime Stoppers or my father in Crime Stoppers or my mother or things like this. And so what we do is we find out who their detective is, and then we work with the detective. Everything Crime Stoppers has put out has been approved by law enforcement.
Okay.
So we can't just say we're going to do a crime. So, and then that's how it happened. So there are other cases out there that haven't been highlighted yet, and it just doesn't mean that they can't be highlighted. It's just we don't know about them yet. Somebody would need to, inquire for us to do that. And then as far as how it goes on a billboard, it's just, I guess it's a process of where did the crime happen? Where does it need to go up? There's different reasons for every different case.
Right.
And some of the cases, why you don't see it on like a press conference or you don't see a family member on a public service announcement with us, is a lot of times the family members have a difficult time doing that. It's traumatizing that their loved one has been murdered, and it's just too emotional. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. But we're here to help any of the families however we can.
Okay. So when you say law enforcement, so do you work with all levels of law enforcement, or is this local?
Well, we cover Flint and Genesee County, and then we've actually had some cases outside of our county, just because there's other counties that don't have a Crime Stoppers program that we have worked on some of those cases. We just felt very passionate about those in particular. But yeah.
Okay. So if residents have information to share, if I have a tip, how can I contact Crime Stoppers?
1-800-422-JAIL, which is 5245.
Okay.
And that goes to our call center. It's 24/7. And then we have the P3 Tips app.
Okay, so we need you to say it again. Want to make sure that they capture it.
P3tips.com, and it's got a P with the number 3 in it. So it doesn't say Crime Stoppers app, because if anybody gets hold of your phone, you don't want anybody seeing it's P3 or that it's a Crime Stoppers.
Absolutely. We want things to be anonymous.
Right. And then P3tips.com. Or you can go to crimestoppersoflint.com, and that will take you to the P3 Tips app. Or not the app, but the website. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like that's a good thing to have on your phone just in case. So you can report things such as, blights?
Yep.
Tips?
So
go ahead.
Yeah, any of those any crimes you can report. And if you don't see it on the list of crimes that you can report on, there's another one down below. It says Other, and you can just click Other. And then what's great about the app and the website is you can upload photos, documents, video, and audio, and all of that is still anonymous.
All right, so did we get those stats yet?
We did not, no.
Okay, so so we were talking about the great things as far as Crime Stoppers goes. Give us a little bit of stats.
So since 2014, we've received over 5,300 tips that has come in through and been processed. And then as far as the amount of money we've awarded has been over $158,000.
Okay, now that's a nice amount. So what about this? So what if someone call in and their tip leads to the solving of a crime, and I don't pick up my money? Now what?
So on average across the country, it's been 50% of the money is not collected. And this past year, they're finding more of the curve that it's getting a higher percentage that people aren't collecting their money. We're not quite sure why. We like to think that they're doing it because they just want to solve crime and have their neighborhood safe.
Right.
Yeah. So if it doesn't get collected, then it's still available, but it kind of goes back into general funds after a year. So.
Okay. All right. So that's important because it's just a reminder that we're on the move. Crime Stoppers is on the move, and you are accessible. So you are accessible. The number is it 1-800-422-JAIL?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, got it.
And the app is P3
Tips.
tips.com?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Can I say one more thing?
Well, please
I'm sorry.
do.
Only because a lot of people ask about this. They ask about how is it anonymous pickup? People
ahead.
think, and maybe that's why some people don't pick up the reward. Maybe they think it's not anonymous. But what we do is we have a location. It's a secure location. It's not anything seedy,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's safe. I
Right.
can't say where, but
Right.
we have you go to a certain location. You do not need to show your ID, nothing like this, but you have to just give your tip number and how much money we said the reward was. And then they give you an envelope of cash. It's very safe and it's anonymous. We don't want to know who the people are.
Okay. So I think that's very important. And I think that really help people have an understanding of how Crime Stoppers work and how to submit tips and how what it looks like if they choose to pick up their money. So anything else you would like to add?
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Anything else you would like to
You
add,
know,
Board President?
I'll just close and say this. Again, just from my years of experience in law enforcement, I mean, the ultimate goal is to bring closure to these victims' families. I mean, you know, having spent time working in the homicide division, it's difficult. It's difficult when you don't have information to help solve that, to bring closure for the families. And so, you know, that's why we just encourage individuals, and obviously talking about this process about being anonymous, just to send in the information. Let's help law enforcement out. Hopefully they can, with that information, they can get these cases solved and help the families and help the victims, you know. So just want to point that out.
Thank you so much. And I also would like to highlight this point too. Utilizing Crime Stoppers, this is a way to report crime. Crime reporting keeps our neighborhoods safe. And we all want to live in safe neighborhoods. So please utilize this method to be the eyes and ears and help us to report crime and to keep our neighborhoods safe, because everyone deserves a safe place to live, play, and thrive. So we'd like to thank you, Crime Stoppers,
Thank you.
for joining us today
you.
for this community conversation. And we trust that we enlighten the community about Crime Stoppers and the great things that you're doing.
Thank you.
Right.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us, and you have a great day.
If you have any information on an unsolved crime or potentially a crime that might be happening in the future, you can always report it to Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-800-422-JAIL, which is 1-800-422-5245, or you can go to p3tips.com or download the P3 Tips mobile app. And another way is crimestoppersofflint.com. Again, it's 100% anonymous, and you can earn a cash reward if your tip helps lead to an arrest.